if you watch One Piece and you have the opinion that Luffy has no character growth, you should probably check what you're watching. It might be Two Piece, because I know for sure that it's not One Piece. So for the Two Piece watchers, here are some instances that Luffy has shown immense character growth. Since we're talking about character growth here, help me grow my channel and subscribe. I think the reason why people think that Luffy has no character growth is because Luffy that we meet at the beginning of the show has already been super well developed and is sure of his character. It will be difficult to see any change in his character because of how sure he is of himself. He was already a person that was very sure of his goals and motivations, and was also a very good judge of character, and this shows from how he chose his crew members. And even though everything was hidden behind the goofiness and the silliness and the stupidity, he was actually very smart and intelligent with recognizing the struggles that his crew members were going through, even if they never said so, and taking it upon himself to liberate them or save them from these certain plights. Sun God Nika, I guess that's has always been him. And actually the live action shows this very well with Nami. The rest of the crew did not believe in Nami and they thought she was being a snake, but Luffy knew that there was something else going on in between, and he had no prior interactions with Nami about her past or anything like that, but because of how good he was as a judge of character, he knew. And that is Luffy for you. But moving on in the story, Luffy had always made reckless decisions. Sometimes they would even cause the safety of his crew. A good example would be Sabaody when Luffy punched the Celestial Dragon. Granted, that Celestial Dragon guy deserved the punch, but that decision at the end of the day led to their crew being in such a dangerous position. If not because he was the MC, he would have been dead by now. So single-handedly, Luffy caused the death of his crew members, basically. Luckily, that didn't happen, and then the war happened. The war is a pivotal moment in Luffy's life. Going into the war as a 17-year-old, Luffy was an overconfident brat, really didn't know the reality about the war. Trying to save his brother, he thought he was really that guy, standing up to Whitebeard, fighting the admirals, fighting Mihawk. These are all heavy hitters that were way ahead of him, and there was no way in hell that it was possible for Luffy to be able to accomplish the mission that he wanted to accomplish. But because of who Luffy thought he was and his overconfidence and his determination and will, he still went in there and went to the war, and actually even managed to get to the point where he rescued his brother and get everyone to rally around him, which is what he does. But ultimately, he still ended up in failure with the death of Ace, Whitebeard, and himself. So the after effects of the war was a big realization to him about the status of the world and who he was at that time. And Jinbei really played a big part in that, in bringing him back to Earth and making him realize the things that he still has. And even though this warring was probably the lowest he had ever been in his life, there was still something to fight for. There was still something to keep on moving forward for, and he should not forget his goals and his crew members. Then he did what I think was the biggest thing ever that Luffy did. The instruction, 3-day 2Y, that he gave to his crew members to go and get stronger. That was Luffy admitting, see guys, we're going to the New World, we're in the Grand Line. I mean, I know I'm saying I'm going to be the Pirate King, and we're going to be the Pirate King, but we're not good enough. We need to work on ourselves and come back, and then we'll be good enough. Luffy at the beginning of the show, 1997, wouldn't have never done that. He was someone that would have said, oh man, this is good enough, I'm strong enough. Like, I can always come back and win. To an extent, he still does that. But that self-realization that him and his crew are not strong enough for the New World, and instructing them to train and let them meet at a certain point, at a certain time, is perfect depiction of Luffy growing as a character. Lastly, if looking at the current state of the manga right now, if you look at Luffy as a character, he's currently a Yonko. You can clearly see a difference in change in character and behavior. He realizes that he is not a average pirate anymore. His actions are very influential to the status and the balance of the world, and that shows with the decisions that he makes. But one thing that happened recently in the anime and the manga that really made me look at Luffy, I'm like, he's different now, is when Green Bull attacked Wano. Luffy from any other point prior to this in this show would have gone straight into fight, because Luffy always wants to fight. But the realization or the awareness to allow Momonosuke and Scabbards to defend their country, because he wouldn't be there all the time to defend them. And if they couldn't handle it, him and his boys will pull up and jump him is something that I found amazing, because I never expected Luffy to do something like that. And when he did that, it made me love him even more, because I was like, this is my captain. This is the Yonko. He's behaving like a Yonko now. And this is just a little short video that shows that Luffy is actually growing within the series. Even though I don't even think he needs to grow as a character, he's not someone that needs growth. I think he was already a well-developed character from the beginning of the show to the end. And that's basically why I think Luffy has character growth. So if you're watching Two Piece, stop watching Two Piece and go back to watching One Piece. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Bombs out.